Hello and welcome to Morning Coffee with Brigid, although it looks kind of nighttime-ish, right? I'm Brigid Burke, and it is the 14th of October. It's Indigenous Persons Day here in the U.S. Good morning, Alex. And I guess Columbus Day is what this always has been. Good morning, Pat. And good morning, Suda. And good morning, Melissa. Everybody's jumped in. I'm a minute or two late today because I had to run back downstairs and get another cup of coffee. I mean, I have a Keurig upstairs. I think I've mentioned this, and sometimes, but I'm out of Keurig cups right now. So I've been making good morning, Sam, or good afternoon, Sam. Gotta remember to do that. And I just run up and down the stairs. I had to go get my coffee, so I had a rather long Azrael message this morning and a rather interesting night, so I'm rushing around a little bit, even though I would say I got up on time to set all this up this morning, going to enjoy that cup of coffee, just dealing with allergies as usual. I think we've all been kind of talking about that. Last night's intuitive development class was a lot of fun. High five, friends. I started the day at the dentist first thing. Oh, yay. That sounds like a joy. Good morning, Joanne. It's felt like such a long time since yesterday, Alex. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's kind of a long thing. Now, it's interesting. Last night actually ended with a grand, what was it? No, not a grand trine. A trine between, let's see, it was Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter's retrograde right now, but it was in Gemini and it was trine the sun last night. So yesterday actually ended on a very good note in spite of all of the intensity. But today, of course, we have that Sun-Mars connection that's very strong today. So the two things that can happen with that is, one is that it can make us, I don't know, when we have situations, those are situations where we have to watch out for allowing like our pride to get in the way of certain things, or doing certain things. And also just just different things where Sun and Mars not working together. Sun, of course, has to do with recognition. Mars has to do with, it tends to be a somewhat aggressive planet. What I'm finding though with the energy, and I don't know how you guys are finding it, I'm finding with this energy, I'm more motivated to do stuff. Now, I don't know, I just feel like my energy levels rise and fall kind of naturally throughout the month. There are days when I'm like, yeah, I can do everything. And those are the days that I overcommit myself to stuff. And then I have the days where I crash out and I'm like, why did I commit myself to this stuff? But, that's kind of the way. But lately, the last couple of days have been like, probably this Mars energy. I feel more supercharged by it. Although I have been, very privately, I've been very irritable. It's so I just kind of like been in this space where I feel kind of like I'm I'm reminded a lot of my father, who actually was a Gemini. My dad he was kind of a, I don't know, I want to say he's mild-mannered, or at least for a Gemini, he was really quite introverted. But it was really funny with him because he would when he was doing something, like if he was working on something, like working on the car or working on some kind of a project, because he was a very hands-on person, right? He had a lot of what they call manual dexterity, and then but what he would do is when he was running into obstacles, he'd swear his head off. And I think I've talked about this before. It used to amuse our next door neighbors. My friend's father used to come outside and he would just sit on his porch and just shuck corn or do something just so he could listen to my father swear in the driveway next door. And then I'd see him and he'd be like, "Whoa, you should have heard your dad today." Like it was like it made his entire day. It was so funny. Anyway, I'm feeling lately the way I have been yelling at different things. I'm like, wow, I'm getting to be just like Dad. It's just funny. And Joanne says, yes, me too. Then you get ones compelled to stand on a soapbox and rant. Oh yeah, it's definitely a week of intense verbal energy. Alex says, same here. Some days are really active and productive. Others I'm ready to hide under a rock. Yeah, and I feel like I don't know. It's interesting. It's like I kind of want. It's like you want to be out there, but I don't, because I know what the energy's like right now. But so far, it's just been a real. Oh, good morning, Leela. It's kind of been it's been a very productive kind of a week so far. I mean, yesterday I actually did a lot more than I thought I would. I do have readings to go up today. I have Libra through Pisces ready to go. I don't have to upload anything. And I do have to create my podcast video and get that up as well this morning, as well as flipping the podcast live for the public. I put it up for patrons yesterday. And I have a live stream at noon today. And I feel like there's something else that I'm doing. I just can't remember right now. But I have my long list of that and editorial projects and all that kind of stuff that I'm working on. Plus, those of you who are in the ISFM, we have class on Thursday with Kate Kinsberry, and I'll be taking very careful notes at that one because I will be running her seminar on the 24th. She has to go to Mexico, so I'm going to be, she's kind of fitting this in for us. I wasn't able to switch her to later in November, so... right now too, I've also got the ring light on right now. That's this, thing kind of just sitting near me. It's like a small one because it's getting light enough. I'm going to probably have to move these live streams to like 7:15 or something just to, I don't know. I have to, I've been trying to hold off till like the end of the month to change the time again because I don't want to be like, okay, now it's 7, now it's 7:15, now it's 7:30. I want people to know what the time is and have it be kind of established. So, I don't want to, Joanne, just to Alex, I think about blanket forts should be a thing. Yeah, it's, well, it's funny, good you talk about that because, I think, where I live, I'm actually kind of lucky because I'm at the end of a street. Now, I mean, I do have neighbors and stuff, but I rarely see them. And my next door neighbor, I haven't talked to in a couple of years. She hasn't talked to me since I came back from England. Not really sure why. 7:13 and 43 seconds. Yeah, that's the time I'm going to set. And I'm not going to get into the why of that, but in any case, even when she's outside doing things, it's just kind of like I just do things in my yard and I just don't even look over there. I'm just like, bleh, just doing my thing. I'm very Taurian in that way. In the fact that if somebody... when I've given loyalty to somebody and then they just turn around and just basically act like they want you to just go F off for no reason, then I'm just kind of like, all right, but it's just like that's kind of what happened there. Anyway, point being is that this is actually a very quiet space. Like I said, I have the cemetery across the street. In that we hate peoples. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't, I mean, there's some people, let's just be honest. There's just some people where we're just like, I don't want to be bothered. And I think that's a thing. I think a lot of times we want to turn around and say things like, oh no, not me. I don't hate. And it's like, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. No, I'll never be angry. You might get angry, but I won't. It's like, yes, I will. I will totally get angry. I'm 12th house Mars. I'm going to tell. I mean, I might hide it very well, but it's just, we all kind of do it. I know that there's something people who have done work with me, whether it's healing work or coaching, as a collective, you like individuals. Oh yeah, well that's just it. And that's interesting because that's something that Carl Jung has said. He has talked about how, oftentimes mass psychology and dealing with people en masse tends to be. And Melissa says we are human. Yes, exactly. That oftentimes there are people who, when you look at a particular group or a particular ideology or a particular whatever, that en masse, we can seem, we can say like, I don't like anybody who's in that particular group. But if you meet people individually and you talk about people and you talk about their experience and you talk about what they're going through, then you may not look at that person like you won't, like I still don't like that group, but you're okay. We kind of do that kind of thing. And yeah, to Melissa's point, we are all human. I mean, everybody is kind of, if you think about it like a game, it's like we're playing cards and everybody has a hand that they're dealt. And some people are dealt different things and they play the hand a different way based on what all the cards are, what they think they should be doing with those cards, about how they think they should be managing that, and and not everybody's going to manage it the same way. It was there's a friend of mine a long time ago. I think we had used to talk about. He was actually talking about situations where people would fall in love, and if you had somebody who is attracted to you, again, this is not about anybody in present. I just want to be very clear. This has nothing to do with any present situation, but where sometimes if you've ever had an experience of having somebody attracted to you and you're not interested in them, where they might get insistent. I actually have had that situation where somebody gets very insistent, and the way the way that it was couched was almost like, I'm in love with you, so I don't understand how you can't see like that we belong together or whatever, like that kind of a thing. And yes, yeah, and and so you look at it and you're just like, and it's just kind of like, do you hear what you're saying there? I can see it, therefore you also should be looking at it through my eyes and see it the same way. Been there. Oh yeah, I think we've all got some version of this at some point in our lives. And, it's just kind of like, it's like, yeah, but I'm not you, and I'm not seeing things through your eyes. That's projection. That's projection in a big way. It's like when you like somebody and you start looking at that person, start trying to interpret every action that they make. Oh, well, I called them and they didn't tell me to go F myself, so I must be on the right track. You know what I mean? It's like, which is why there have been times in the past when I've had people who were just persistent and would not give up. And I've literally had to tell them to go F off. Because they're just, because a lot of times, especially as women, we're told, well, you've got to be polite, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And really, strictly speaking, if somebody's attracted to you, no, you don't want to let somebody down. But this is so aligned with all the Lilith energy going on, archetype and astrological. Yeah, it's interesting, right? And it's weird because Lilith has been a topic of conversation pretty recently for me in a lot of things. And I re-released the Lilith podcast. In fact, that's another thing I got to work on, is getting the remasters done of like the Hecate podcast and Medusa and some of the other ones. It's just that I have to sit through them, and I can't do anything else. I have to go through them and edit the audio. But it's this energy of, and then when you do that, and then when you turn around and tell somebody, look, F off, then it's almost like, well, you're a terrible person who hurt my feelings. And it's like, no, you're just not getting it. It's like, I have to push through the wall here. I'll listen to that next. Yes, it's, I had redone it. It was an early one I did in 2019. It was actually a pretty good one. And Jesse Pollock had helped me put that one together. And, but the other ones, I realized I have the original MP3. So I told him, I was like, ooh, well, because I thought he was going to have to strip the MP4 audio and do stuff for me. But as it turns out, I can do it myself. So, so that's good. That saves him some time. Anyway, so there's this energy here of, I think a lot of this is energy around boundaries, and that is something I was definitely seeing in the readings this week about, because the Anubis card in the cartouche has a lot to do with, it's a friendly card, okay? Anubis is a guide. Anubis is the guide through the underworld, right? At least the way he's couched there. Now, Anubis can also be a judge in the underworld in certain Egyptian mythologies, kind of more closer to New Kingdom time frame. But Anubis, because he weighs the heart, he's the one that weighs the heart against the feather, is Anubis. But Anubis is also the one who is a protector. Okay, in a way, it reminds me a little bit more of Aztec. Joanne's going to laugh at this, of the Aztec mythologies of the underworld, and the way that in which. Oftentimes when the soul enters the underworld, they have a dog to guide them through those parts of the underworld, through a certain stage, because it's a bit of a travail through different layers and different challenges at different layers of passing through to get to the kingdom of the dead in Aztec myth. So but they have a dog to guide them initially, and it's So I always kind of think of the Anubis in cartouche as being a little bit like that type of dog. I don't know if you can hear the crows really loud out here. My window's open. So when we, like if females, we post a selfie, why is that taken as an invite to God? Yes, the fabled people, the Aztecs. Yes. Well, right, exactly. Occasionally, like I posted a selfie this morning. I don't know. I haven't seen what the feedback is on that yet. I posted it on my other channel. But occasionally I do. And sometimes, well, I don't know. But that can happen. Sometimes you do have people who see that as kind of an invite. Oh yeah, they are talkative. Yeah, it's but we talk about protection. Anubis it represents an energy of being able to negotiate with people and be friendly, but at the same time not giving up your sovereignty, not giving up your space, maintaining your boundaries. That kind of polite, but being polite to somebody, wanting to listen to somebody, wanting to acknowledge what they're saying or what they have to offer without allowing that person to kind of just move in on your life. Okay. Bite their head off. It's not, but even so, it's meant to be a negotiating energy. So it's not necessarily a negative there. It's just a way of protecting ourselves in a way that, I don't know, that where we can be open and vulnerable, but not be inviting energies that we don't want. I think that's why we talk a lot in the classes about protection and how to protect your energy. And by the way, people in the class will be interested to see how you practice with whatever method you have to kind of open and close your energies. We worked on that yesterday in class about how to do it kind of in an instantaneous kind of a way. And I tried it this morning. It actually worked quite well. So it's very, boundaries seem to be a real thing. And I'm seeing it in the readings too, where people are saying it's like, okay, as you're trying to establish identity, as you're trying to establish where you are in this kind of new place that everybody's in. I mean, collectively, we're moving into a new place. Individually, this is going to mean different things for us. And so, yeah, like who are you? And how do we protect ourselves, especially in that space where we're trying to figure it out? Because sometimes if we're not even sure, like I was seeing a lot of first house stuff around identity and people kind of being like, I don't know. When you're in that space in the first house, then sometimes what you need to do is you might pull away from people. You might shut people out for a while because if you try to talk to people, again, people who are you're familiar with or who expect something out of you or expect you to be a certain way, and then you talk to them and they say, well, no, you can't be this or you can't do that. You don't necessarily need that conflict. You don't necessarily need somebody at this point telling you how you should interpret that. You want to be able to be in a space where you can, figure it out. Allow yourself that empty space to be able to listen and to figure out what your own inner voice is telling you. Because, the conventional wisdom around you, the people around you may or may not have come to themselves. I do feel though, like a lot of us gravitate in groups, I feel like even the group that tends to come on in the mornings here, we're all kind of in a space where we're aware that something is changing and we're looking to figure out what that change is about, as opposed to people who are fighting and saying, no, I want to, I'm going to resist this change with all of my being, for whatever reasons, okay, for whatever, whether they be tradition, whether it be religious reasons, whether it be, just somebody who's just like a very fixed, some of us who are fixed signs, sometimes we can be that way. I don't think anybody here's really being that way. I think everybody is kind of engaged with trying to figure out, okay, even if we're not always comfortable moving ahead, trying to say like, okay, well, being open to saying, all right, well, let's try to figure out what the next steps are and how to do that. And wow, my head is like, I don't have a headache. I just feel like, I don't know. I feel like Azrael's kind of like right on top of me right now in my head. So I don't know if he has something to say about this, but hermit vibes. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, Suda. It is hermit. You're kind of saying it with the LOL. Your Gemini cusp prevents that. Well, yeah, I mean, it could be. I think we're rather open to things, but the question is, yeah, with this kind of Taurian energy. Well, we're thinking Taurus, but it could also be Virgo, Capricorn, and actually Hermit is Virgo as well. It's more of the energy of taking a step back and detaching and saying, okay, what's going on here? When you feel like you're getting too many people coming in from the outside. I know yesterday a card came up. It was the Four of Cups did come up, but it's the Four of Cups in this deck, and the Four of Cups in this deck is more of that turning in card. It's more like, get rid of these other voices because you need to listen to your own. And so we're kind of in this space of trying to do that, but also it's a case of not just doing things the same way. You know, our logical minds don't always tell us the path forward, right? Sometimes we have to go with our gut on things. It is occurring to me now. It's 7:22, and I have not given you a ghost story for today, and so I should do that before I forget. I didn't have a pre-prepared topic. I just figured I'd roll with whatever came up today because it was, like I said, I had a rather long and complex message this morning. I do have an Azrael video coming out, by the way. I recorded one yesterday that kind of summarized everything he said over the last couple of months. And I just have to do some edits because I want to break it up in some places. So rather than it just be one continuous me talking, which is, you know, we're all used to that by now, right? But just one continuous stream. So so I'm gonna try to put that together at some point today or tomorrow and get that out. But okay, so the ghost story. Now, actually, this was not a story. This is going to be another real. This is from last night. Actually, told you last night was kind of weird. I think it was around midnight that I woke up, and I remember the moon was kind of in my window. And and Pat, you'll identify with this from what we've talked about. But there was suddenly an aroma in the room. There was like an odor. It was a scent, and it smelled almost like burning, or it smelled like cooking. Like there was something about it that had like a smoky quality. I can't quite remember what it smelled like, but it was almost like something had been cooking, you know. And good morning. And so there was this scent, and it was right, like, my bed's behind me here. It was on this side of the room here. I don't even know if I'm pointing it correctly. It was basically, if I was laying down, it was on my left side. And I had, you know, and I was just like, and for some reason when I smelled it, it was very, very close. It was like right here. And for some reason I was immediately like, oh, protection up. Yes, I know. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, because I know we were talking about how the different clair senses, and how sometimes smell is one of those. Some people have very strongly. And I was just like, okay, whoever this is, they're not supposed to be here. That was just my immediate instinct, was they're not supposed to be here. Now again, I didn't necessarily feel like I was being threatened. Like, remember I told you about the experience of the shadow person. I didn't feel like it was this, but I didn't necessarily feel like this person had I don't know, beneficial intentions. I mean, not necessarily that they planned to do anything bad, but also that they were not really good. And so I questioned that this morning. First of all, and you know, I did a verification. I verified. I'm like, okay, was that? I mean, did I just imagine that, or was there something there? And I got a verification. Like, no, there was somebody there. That wasn't your imagination. And I said, was there? And those of you who learned pendulum, I said, okay, positive or clockwise, what did they have positive intentions? Counterclockwise, did they have negative intentions? And I got counterclockwise. And so I was like, ooh, okay. So I delved in a little bit to try to find out who that was and why they were there. Now, they said it was somebody I didn't know, but that it was somebody who was ancestral. Somebody connected probably to my mom's family, because that seems to be, we were talking about her house and the things around her yesterday, and I don't know if that's what's precipitating this, but I remember Jenny, who's on here sometimes, she's not on this morning, but when I had the shadow person experience, probably, 15 years ago now, she had said to me at the time, she says, you know, I think sometimes those things happen, like you have these visitations and you have these things when you're about to move into a new phase. And I thought about that because when I pulled cards on it, I kept pulling the Ace of Wands. Like, you know, you're moving into some kind of new space. And whatever it is, it's a breakaway from whatever this ancestral energy is. I've been breaking away a lot from that family's, you know, kind of trying to move away from or transform a lot of that family trauma. But whatever this ancestral force is, it seems like it's something that's been feeding on my energy to some degree, or that I've been giving to unconsciously. And apparently I've stopped doing that, and it's not very happy about that. But they just said, yeah, that you don't want to keep giving to that. That you're totally right to not be giving to it. So again, it's something that was here, it went away. It wasn't super scary, but I remember I did wake up at midnight and thought, oh, I have to do something to I don't want this thing, you know, coming too close into my energy field. So, you know, and so what I did just right away just seemed to work. Another good reason, by the way, to have a good shortcut so that you can just do something right away without having to be like, okay, I have to sit down and do this and do that. Like, you can do kind of an instant protection. She keeps saying refried beans. You know, it's interesting. There was like the sense of something cooking, but it wasn't something I was particularly familiar with because that's not something that I would particularly eat. I don't know if it would be for them either because they were of Eastern European descent, but it could be something quite similar to that, you know? But it was the aroma of something cooking, and I thought, my first thought was, do I have something cooking downstairs? I mean, you know, I mean, that would be extraordinarily weird, but no. So, yeah, so that was kind of the experience that I had last night of and we were just talking in the last couple days about people being in my room, people being in my mother's room, and then last night somebody else shows up in my room. So, I don't know. I try to take it as a good sign that that things are actually being released, because if things are in fact released, then and you know, and these energies are kind of like, hey, you know, I don't like that. Yeah, protection on. Yeah, exactly. You can think about that in a lot of ways, right? But yeah, so it was just like, I don't know. I just not every numinous being that approaches you is negative, or that you don't need to push them away. But this time I just kind of felt like, you know, no. And I just confirmed that for myself this morning. And I'm kind of talking about it in this way because a lot of people who are on this live stream are also in my intuitive development class. So I think, like, when I talk about stuff and I'm like, okay, well, here we go. We have an example right in front of us of how all the different components of it kind of come together. So when you are in a situation like that and you're like, okay, because your logical mind does kick in and say, well, this could be some coincidence. Maybe it's something else and I'm just not recognizing what it is. But I'm like, that's not a scent I have anywhere in my room. It makes no sense at all. And it's not coming from me. So I was just like, that was just really odd. So anyway, that's my little encounter that I mentioned. Not a horribly exciting one, but yeah, definitely some kind of ancestral spirit visitation at my bed, but sensed in a olfactory kind of way, sensed through smell rather than through. Although I could feel energetically like, ooh, somebody's there, and but yeah. So whatever it is, I feel like it's gone away now, but it was just interesting, and then in the moment, that's when you pull the tools out and you go, okay, yeah, just immediately kind of calling up the protection. And then in the morning, using the different tools that we have to kind of figure out what was that about. There's certainly the impressions you have at the time, and then it's a matter of saying, okay, I'm using other methods to kind of verify what I thought at the time. Okay, so I hope that makes sense for everybody. All right, so I'm going to do our reading for today, because we're at 7:30. 7:30 is usually the time when I start doing our reading. And, okay, so, ooh, this is interesting. It's so funny because this reading is kind of done in a cross formation. And actually I'm thinking about the fact that there's going to be a T-square. That's what there's going to be. We're moving into a T-square this week. This week is going to be really intense astrologically, just heads up. And I think at the end of the week, we have, I think at the middle of the week we have the full moon, finally. We have the full moon in Aries. Yeah, there's a lot of energy this week. And, this is also the week where you're going to be able to start to see the comet that in the western sky. If the sky is clear, there's going to be a comet that's actually going to be visible during daylight hours. I forget what it's called. It was a comet that was discovered last year, but that's where, at least for this area, that's where they said it would be visible. You might want to check, just look up, comet visible like October 14th or something. Like, just, you might want to check that out if you want to see where it is in your area, where that might be visible. But there is something that's going to be visible here. So yeah, lots of omens right now. And I posted a video yesterday on my stories, and we had some kind of a conversation. I think Alex and I had talked about this one. It's about the solar eclipse that we had on October 2nd, going over Easter Island, what we call Easter Island. I know there's another name. I forget what the name of it is. There's another name for it. But and this eclipse was actually in line with, or aligned with, a new dwarf planet that I'd never heard of called Makemake. And that planet is actually, yes, Easter Island, Makemake. Yep, Alex just posted it there. Makemake was the creator god of the people who lived on Easter Island. The creation mythology of theirs is connected to this god. And so the video that I posted is a really good analysis by, I think it's the World Astrology Report channel again, where he explained, the symbolism of their myths about the birds and the Birdman, and and also just about their creator and the mythologies they have about, when the creator god sent the birds for them to, they ended up eating all the birds and destroying them, and trying to explain to them how you have to let them lay eggs, before you actually do things. I thought it was a type of fish. No, Makemake, it's actually spelled Make is one word. That is the name of, I think you're thinking of Mahi Mahi, I think might be what you might be thinking of, Joanne. Makemake is this god. And so he was talking about the mythology of this god and how it seems to resonate with the changes. Like there's a theme of seeing the bigger picture, being able to fly above and see the bigger picture, and also the theme of working together and not simply consuming and destroying everything. Okay? Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, it's close. I mean, and I have to tell you, it's not a name I'm from. I mean, I study mythology. It's not a name I was familiar with. But I'm not an expert in indigenous mythologies. There's some that I know something about because I've encountered them, but that's not one that I can say like, oh yeah, I'm an expert in that, because I'm not. But and that was actually the first time I knew there was a dwarf planet by that name. So so it was kind of a new thing. I think it was a new thing for the guy doing the video too. So really interesting video. It's worth checking out. And hang on 1 minute here. Sorry, I just hear very loud noise. I think somebody's coming over to do my neighbor's thing. So I just don't want to do that. Let's call in the expert. Let's call in the expert. Okay, I know what you're referring to here. You're expert. So this is interesting though, because of what it's implying. And he says when you have this many synchronicities in how this eclipse appeared and where it appeared in a place where it normally doesn't, down in that part, I think this part of Chile and across the Pacific, it's very. He said you have to pay attention to those synchronicities, that they actually do mean something. So, but it does tend to fit in, and that's what actually prompted me to do my Azrael video, because I'm like, it does fit in with the whole theme that we're dealing with right now. I'm actually going to turn this light off. Okay, because now there's enough light to see me without that fake light. So it's worth watching, because it kind of goes along with this theme that we are moving into this space. We're calling it the space of the divine feminine, but it's the space of working together, of taking a different approach to life, not one that is so much about, having to grab for things. It's more about what we can do together rather than what we all have to achieve separately. Because the feminine has a more collective energy to it. So anyway, let me get into our reading. Our first card is the Two of Swords again, the split card, being split between the head and the heart. And what I think was interesting about this reading is that, like I was saying, this is a cross formation. And the 3 cards that are in this cross are, let's see, we have stress, we have this, and then we have control. Stress, control, and then the split right in the middle, okay? So, yeah, that's just kind of an interesting configuration there. But then on either side of it, we have major arcana, and that's what's internal and then what's external, what we're internally aware of, and then externally what we may not be aware of, and then what we are aware of. So what we're not aware of is the transformation that's going on, okay? Some of us kind of have a vague idea, but we don't know what it looks like. We just know that there are changes that are going on. And the external feeling of which we are aware is the star, actually. Yeah, this is the silence card, and this is their version of the stars. And it's literally what I just said earlier. It's like you have to, it's kind of like there's this split going on between the head and the heart. So it's like we have to get away from people to figure out what our own truth is. Take a break to allow this transformation to take hold. Because these are 2 majors that are flanking a column of minors, of minor arcana. I wish I could go to sleep till November. Yeah, I know what you're saying. It's it's a very intense time right now. But this is definitely indicating, you know, when there's nowhere to go, you just want to be in the silence of where you are. And I think the fact that this is external, this is what we're aware of. We're aware of possibilities. We're aware that there's something new. We're aware that vulnerability is a good thing. That it's a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness, which is another aspect of the feminine coming in. Not having to put on this, the only emotion that's acceptable is rage, you know, kind of attitude. That we can actually move into a space where we can release some of that, acknowledge that those emotions are there too, and they're there for a reason, but that we also can kind of be in our own space with that. So yeah, this is the advice is yielding control, okay? Yielding control. Because that's really the fundamental of everything. This is why we get stuck between the head and the heart, because we keep questioning ourselves. We have a feeling about something, and then we go, "Oh, but should I do this? If I do this, will this happen? If this do this, will that happen? Will that happen? If I do it this way?" And I mean, and again, thinking through the things that we do is not a bad thing. But sometimes when we feel driven towards a new way of thinking, we use that method of thinking to just stop ourselves from doing that. She says, seriously though, people are too much lately, is what Joanna's saying. Yeah, that's it. And part of it is saying, like, okay, how do we get away from, recognizing, part of the reason I think that we've been focused on wounding a lot, and remember Chiron is also in a very oppositional position to the sun and also to Mars. I escaped yesterday to not add to it. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's we're very much it's kind of about just letting things be as they are. And when we talk a lot about wounding right now and wounds that come in, I think we're aware that we're wounded and we're walking among the wounded. Okay? And so the question is, what's another way to negotiate that? The way that we've always traditionally negotiated in the culture is to battle it out. You've got to pick a side. And it's like, okay, well, is there, like we were talking about yesterday with Carol Gilligan, you know, the feminine way. For those of you, hey, look, I'm quite missing the class. Oh, no, that's okay. Let's see. Oh, okay, this means I need to quit the admin job and go full-time at the bakery, is what she's saying. Well, you know, if that's an option for you, if that's a viable option for you, then yeah, you can possibly. I mean, if that's what you feel like you should do, that's something that you want to think about there. And you're missing. Well, I'll send you the recording of the class, Suda. I'm gonna post that today. I have the link, so I will send it so you can watch it. We had fun yesterday, particularly towards the end. We had a lot of fun. But our outcome card is stress. So, kind of to Suda's point, actually, before, it's kind of like doing something quote unquote unimportant. Doing something unimportant. We attach a lot of importance to the things we do. We attach a lot of importance to, if we take time out for ourselves, it's like, oh, I'm taking this time out, but maybe I should be, we think of it as procrastination. I should be getting this done. I should be doing that. I should be spending my energy on this thing instead of doing that. I should be working all the time. And we're not meant to work all the time. I feel like this is a space where we're moving more towards work-life balance, where we're working more towards being able to allow ourselves to be supported by others. Part of that too has to come with trust. You know, when we have bad experiences with people, we start to say, well, I can't trust anybody but myself. You know, I'm the only person. And that's where the split is, because our heart does want to go towards, I think our heart a lot of times does want to go towards community, towards wanting to be open to people, towards wanting to have those connections. We don't want to be isolated, okay? I mean, we may be introverts, but that doesn't mean you want to be isolated. It's a different thing. Isolation is when you are in a space of, you know, maybe a space where you are very stressed out, or you have a lot of things going on and you feel like I have no help. I have nobody, you know. That's kind of one of the big things. Introversion is, I'm in society, but I kind of prefer to, hide in my blanket for it. I kind of prefer every now and again to kind of, or that social interaction, there's so much of it that you can do. And then after a while you're like, okay, I need a break. Okay. Introversion is more like that. Isolation is different. Isolation is when you feel like you do not, isolation and the idea of like financial insecurity or feelings like Five of Pentacles energy and Three of Swords energy is about feeling like we don't have what we need. This is more about, and I think the fear of that too is the reason why we feel like we have to control things. We have to know what's happening every step of the way. It's why we always want to know outcomes. That was the thing I really had trouble with growing up. Like when I was doing cards and stuff, it's like, I want to know the outcome. I want to know the outcome. And I think after a while I had to let go of the fact that, that there's a probable outcome, but I don't really know what it's going to be. I know what it looks like from this vantage point. Because sometimes too, you'll see outcomes and you go, well, I don't, like, and I've had people do that in readings, I don't see how that's going to come out that way. But that's because you can't see everything. We don't know how things are going to change. We go along a course and we say, oh, okay, person A does this, person B does this, and this is how they interact, and this is what they think, and they're not going to change this, and blah, blah, blah. And then, I don't know, or you're in a job and you think, oh, okay, it's going to be this way, it's going to go this way, or you're in a relationship. Whatever it is, you may be in something that you feel like, oh, okay, well, this is going to be, the steady space. This is going to be the rock. This is going to be the grounding. But that can change. And it doesn't just have to be negative change. It doesn't have to be like, oh, the rug's pulled out from under you. It can also be a change of like opportunities just suddenly appearing and you're like, oh, there's an opportunity. What do I do with this? And those are the places a lot of times, I think that's really Four of Cups energy. That's when we kind of start saying to ourselves, oh, look, there's this opportunity. Oh, wait, but what about this? But what about this? Oh, but then do I have to change this? And oh, do I have to change that? We kind of put down the opportunity. If it's something, and if it's something though that our heart wants, then we need to take that a little more seriously, I think, than saying, if it's what the heart wants, then I feel like we need to take that more seriously than just saying, oh yeah, that's what I really want, but I can probably make more money doing this, or I can, or this is just what I'm used to, so I'm just going to keep doing it. I think we're kind of being forced to examine our actual feelings and our actual quality of life. It's not just about, what seems like it's good enough. You know what I mean? I think we're trying to move to a stage of like, well, no, I want to be able to share my gifts with people. I want to be able to share my own. I want to be able to do my work. Obviously, it's not necessarily that people. I think even people who say, oh, I'm ready to retire and give up work, I think there's still something that we want to do. It just may not seem like it's as lucrative or as important as other things. But it's not all about the lucrative at some point, So, yeah. In any case, that's our reading for today. It's very interesting. We have the split card, we have the control card, we have the stress card, and it's reminding us that we're in a space of change and that we need to make space for that. That's what we're seeing. We are between two majors. We are between forces. We are between forces here that are, that are happening in spite of us, and our response to it. Like I said, we're looking at this down the middle is to just kind of let go and allow that to happen. And that can mean, because a lot of people will say, well, what am I supposed to do? And a lot of times it's like, well, just don't try to control things. I don't want to go off on this tangent, but I have had at points where literally when you've tried to do things, and I think some of us have talked about this recently, is that you are feeling like you have everything you try to do, it's like you're just beset with obstacles at every step, and you get very frustrated and very angry. You're like, why can't I do this? Why is everything failing? Why is this not working? Why is that not working? And sometimes it's a way of saying, like, just you don't need to do this right now. We may think we need to do it. No, I need to do it. I plan to do it today. This is my thing. We need to let go of things. You know what I mean? We need to just kind of let go and let things happen. And if we feel like there's a day where, okay, this isn't going to happen today, or this isn't going to work out, then it's like, okay, I'm going to do something fun instead. And that's, a lot of people consider that to be a very irresponsible or very selfish kind of attitude, but it's not. That's something we have to re-examine, because why should life always just be about doing what everybody? There is this kind of contract we have with society, and maybe even with family to a certain degree. But there's also, we also have, feelings and a role in that. We shouldn't always have to feel like, well, I have to give up, everything that means things to me that are close to my heart, because, other people might not approve of it, or other people will have something to say about it. I think that's kind of the space that we're in. We're establishing ourselves as individuals, but also integrating that in a network of support. Like, let's work on supporting each other instead of either judging each other or trying to, say, you have to pick a side on something. It's not about, we're seeing how this whole picking sides thing does not work, in society. I think regardless of what country we're in, we're seeing that picking sides is not, it's not productive. All it does is generate more fear, more hatred, and more of a sense of, a feeling like we need to isolate ourselves, or like we're not in a place where we're supported. So, that seems to be the change in energy. So I think it's kind of saying, trust us, this is the way it's going, just go with it. So, my mother, Joanne says, my mother was always like that with me. Be serious, that's not appropriate. Yeah, and I think all of us have that. Or that's stupid. Yeah, that's not a great thing to say to somebody, that something is stupid. It's, especially to kids. Well, that got said to me a lot too, for different things I was doing, mainly by my siblings, not really so much by my mom. But I think we all go through that. We all go through the things that when we express ourselves, I think that's a lot of times why people are afraid to express themselves creatively too, because they feel like, well, what if other people go, oh God, that's dumb, I don't like that, and how do we, it's like how you have to be kind of solid in yourself to be able to say, well, if you don't like it, then that's you, too bad, too bad, or, sometimes people just have a preference. They don't have to be mean about it, but sometimes people are. But yeah, it's just like, well, this was all the time, affects me this day. Yeah, well, it's something that's part of our wounding, and it's just a question of, how do you find yourself in that and not be defined by your wounding, right? Like we know it's there. That's why it's really weird, because that's funny you say that, because it came into my mind last night that the wounds are where the art is. The wounds are where you can make art. That's where you can express things. Absolutely. She says, my in-laws thinks I'm literally delusional for my interests, but that's part of me, and that's that. Oh yeah. There's always people who say, well, that's the problem. See, this is where I say the problem is with uber rational thinking. Is just, again, rationality is not a bad thing, but it can be taken to an extreme where anything that's quote unquote non-serious, it's like, oh, come on, you're a grown-up. You're not supposed to think or feel that way. So, and it's like, no, I'm a human being, and this is part of it. We try to cheat. I was watching a thing recently from Tale Foundry on Peter Pan, and how J.M. Barrie was trying to convey the whole thing that these children are all spoiled, selfish brats, and that's the way children are. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a negative way to view childhood, because they have to be thinking about, because you're telling them, because children are trying to figure out who they are, but somehow they're supposed to be paying attention to the collective. And we need to be taught to figure out that, we're not an island, and that, our actions do affect other people, but that doesn't mean that, therefore, we have to subvert everything that we are, right? My response was, I'm a rebel to still degree. Alex says, right, I'm trying to let it roll off and knowing that it's just about them, not me. Yeah, and that's just it. Probably half my family thinks I'm half cracked too, but, I don't care. Just like, oh, well, my life's more interesting than yours, deal with it. So... Yeah, you're just jealous that my life's more interesting than yours. So anyway, we're at 10 of, so I should probably call this to a close for today. It's a fun little discussion here, a little more spontaneous, but it's great to see all of you here. Great to always have a nice full slate of people in the morning, and to be able to kind of, talk back and forth. I know when people watch this in the repeat, they're probably like, they see me continually stopping, and they're probably like, yeah, can you stay on topic? But, but it's not meant for me to be kind of lecturing at people, so. So yeah, you're welcome. I hope you all have a great start to your week. Always be good to be here with everyone. Yes, you're welcome. And yes, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, and beautiful people. You're welcome to everybody. And so we will see you again tomorrow morning, probably. I will be back, unless something unforeseen happens. I should be here. And I hope you have a great start to your week. Take care.